$500 to $800 on books alone. And then for most of the classes, sometimes we don't even use the book, which is frustrating to us because when we try and return it, we don't get the full amount back because it's now a used textbook when in reality it's brand new, never really been used, flipped a couple of pages. It's clearly brand new, but they won't give us the full amount back.
In addition to that, some of the publishers are trying to go to e-texts, which are kind of their way of battling lowering it a little bit, but then students can't return it, so they're still making.
So do you think it's a justifiable goal for us at the college of any kind of need to say, hey, we'd really like to reach a point that our students pay less than $500?
I think it's important that we try to set a goal, and that's one of the reasons we've identified here are the classes. You mentioned something earlier, Barb, about the 20 courses.
Right.
And we call those high-impact courses. You end up enrolling about 80% of the students. Many of the classes that are on that sheet are high enrollment courses, and those are the ones that we're targeting first, trying to encourage faculty to look at OER resources to lower the cost of those courses.
So when will we have some data to see how we're doing?
We'll be able to give you data as soon as at the end of every semester for the OER resources that are available. So, for example, Dr. Stomper made a $1 million challenge. So he's asked the Social Science Division to save $1 million by using OER resources. Now, he's not set a time period for that. But if you look at Psych 121, and you look at how many sections of that we offer, and hey, John, if you can bring up Psych, intro to Psych. So we spend $373,000 a year is what we spend on most of it. So our hope is if you can identify an intro to Psych or fundamentals of speech or a sociology course, those are where you get the most money.
Is there some way for us as a board to put out a challenge as well to say, hey, this is where we want to go. We would like to see our students paying less than $500 per month.
Yeah, let me take a crack at that, because we talked about that, and I haven't heard anything back on that. I mean, I think we're all serious about this, and I think we talked about the 25% markup that we do charge for books. And I'm going to bring that up again, because that goes off the work that King Trustee Wolfslider saying, if we're serious about this as a board, I think we need to start thinking about this. We need to make a commitment as well. Maybe this is less of the 25% markup that we're receiving, but I'd like to see us get serious about this and either do some type of incentive more than just maybe 3 credit hours they're getting for release time. And I don't want to get into contractual issues with the government, but there needs to be some incentive there for the 25% markup. And we've got to figure out a way to really get into the game here, because I don't think we're in the game.
The literature that's out there keeps referring to the broken textbook market and the whole issue with the textbook publishers and what they're doing. So it's not only the market here, but textbooks that find faculty in purchasing a package or instead of just reading sources.
Yeah, and I think this is very timely as well, because our state organization, the Illinois Community College Trustees Organization, we just set our statewide priorities and goals for next year, and among those at the top of the list is textbook costs for students. So it's not something that's unique to College of Lake County. It's across the state and across the country as well. So we need to come up with a better strategy.
One of the things
Just want to make sure I understand, what is that last column? What is it trying to communicate, that last column?
So the textbook spending is looking at the total seats that had been in that course times we did an average of the highest textbook cost, and it's just a multiplier.
So is it a multiplier? It's not a multiplier for the page, but I want to make sure I understand. So you're saying that over the last 4 years, 2010, 2014,
Yes.
there was 16,000 bodies,
Right.
and seats,
Correct.
that you would expect them to purchase textbooks.
That was close to $200. Yeah, there's a range, but
Right, the range.
Yeah.
So not necessarily they will, all would buy the textbook, but the expectation is that they're going to sit there with the textbook, right?
If you go by those statistics previous slide, probably half of them weren't buying the textbook, but
Right.
in theory, they were buying the textbook, they were supposed to buy this
Right.
in their class, that would be how much money they
Okay.
spent.
So that, even though it's highest book cost, it's not an average, it's just the highest.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
If we were to extrapolate this number, it's over $3 million. So that's a big, big number. Perhaps we should scare people, maybe shock people with the truth. Say, you know, the range is $3.something million to $800,000. That's a huge number. If you take, I mean, that's a really big number. If I was a parent, and I am, I'm scared. That's scary. So,
So, and there were courses that aren't on this list, these are just the high enrollment ones that impact most students, but criminal justice gave me the example, they had a $200 textbook. And it's not a high enrollment course, but the textbook was outrageous.
this is a substantial scam here that we're embarking on. And it's actually ripe for disruption. So this will not continue. It's probably the reason why the price has gone 800%, because they're trying to get as much profit before someone shuts the door. But, in order for this to be, I think, persuasive, perhaps you should go ahead and put the calculation there, the range for this $3 million. But if you do the math for this high, it could be as high as $3.7 million.
And on our end, I think it's just a matter of educating the faculty and encouraging them to look to see what's already out there. I know some faculty feel like they're still down to their textbook and are scared to put additional work into work that may not already be out there, but if they're looking to see OpenStack, there's a bunch of different resources that are already out there and available to be shared and modified. They're great.
One of the big barriers, and we've already, and this is part of doing this, is time. This takes a lot of time, as Dr. Griffin would say. These textbook companies are great because they give you absolutely everything you absolutely need. You can walk in, they have a textbook, they have PowerPoint slides, you have computer, you have everything. And so it makes it easy.
Right.
OER takes a lot more time. It's like when I started teaching. You've got to go out and find materials. You can maybe get a textbook, but you have to do your PowerPoint slides. At that time, it was the overhead projector.
How about the ditto machine? The ditto
You
machine.
can smell it. So, the reality is it does take time, and we need to be looking at incentives on that. And I've talked with the foundation about helping us do some of these things, so that we're maximizing our resources and incentivizing our faculty to look at value where we are within their lives.
We're hearing you. Well, part of it is, 10 years ago, my last child was in college, and, $1,200 was a semester, not a year. And so I'm actually like $1,200 a year. Wow, I wish I would have gotten that deal, because I remember pulling out the visa at the bookstore, and it was $1,200 for one semester, because it was a workbook, it was a CD, it was the regular textbook, which were $300. And it was amazing. It's for 5 hours or 5 classes, 15 credit hours. But, the other part of this is, Bill talked about it, the 25% or whatever markup we have at the bookstore. I mean, that's nothing compared to what the publishers and stuff are getting. And we are going to really have to get to the point where we not only have it for the classes that everybody takes, but what about the nursing classes? I mean, those books have got to be really expensive. Physiology and stuff. Those students have really need to be taking that check.
Well, it counts businesses.
And those are and that page is said, we look at the high impact, because it's going to impact the most students the quickest. But you're right, you start looking at engineering books, accounting books, and business books. It's right.
You got 4 universities on this list that are making initiatives, and we've got those classes that you're talking about. Because your kid is in the higher level classes, it's going to be different, and especially when you have professional education, through the book. But I think that we just have to keep encouraging it. I like the idea of the statewide efforts and the consortium, because you talk about like criminal justice, well, there's going to be other places where that kind of class is being taught. So, cooperative efforts
one of the things, and I don't know if Paige had this up there or not, one of the things that we talked about, you know, are there ways within the course schedule to identify courses that use OER so the student knows they don't have textbook costs? Kind of drive them to those particular courses. That will also incentivize faculty as well because they start seeing those classes as the ones that are filling their courses.
And that's big, that's one of the things that's being discussed at OER, Community College Consortium list, is ways of trying to get that into.
I want to be politically correct and ask Pam a question. I know that, you're going to be this, and I just want
So you can be honest.
Yes. However you think you should answer this. I'm curious, do you think that it would be a wise move for a particular college to have like a technology czar of some sort?
That's what we call it.
That's what he is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what Pam said. So you're talking about the colleges collaborating to have a single IT the IT team that goes out and supports different colleges?
Okay.
I'm asking, is that what you're asking?
It was really pretty open-ended, but I like where you're going.
I have seen the Michigan where I came from, some of the colleges try that, but then you get into the politics of who takes priority. There are also some consortium, there are colleges who had that system, they had system-wide, that they have a head of IT, but each college still have their own IT department. Once again, the priority for one college might not be the priority for another college, so those are the situations we get into. We also get into some licensing issues about when you go to the ERPs. So first of all, not all the colleges have the same system. So they might have a different system, so we got to get all the same in the same system. But then we had to talk to companies like Oracle, who makes a lot of money on licensing, how the licensing model works. So there's a lot of roadblocks to it. It is a good concept, and people have tried it. People even have tried to have a common data center where everything is housed in one college, and they have the staff to support. But the challenges they're running into is how you prioritize the staffing and resources needed for one college compared to other colleges. So those are some of the challenges that came up. But it's a novel idea. It is something that it helps with the cost, but it is very hard to put in place.
I saw at the college that at the conference I was just at, kind of mentioned that exact point. He said, the position of CIO or Chief Technology Officer, Chief Information is on a trend to be replaced with Chief Analytics Officer, looking at all the data and all the impacts.
I think that's great, but unless you can help these people with some time, it's not going to happen. How many people do you have in your group?
Well, there were about 20 who expressed initial interest, and that was a combination of both.
How many staff people do you have?
Oh, and Professional Development Center, we have faculty development, and we've got technology, and there'll be 3 of them.
So if faculty comes in and says, "Hey, I need you to help me develop this course," all the ER, still that I need to do.
We never done productions on our own. We'll provide them resources, but we, directions, but we're new to it as well. So we're looking at all the different sources that are out there, which is exactly why we came for the Lumen Group to come in and kind of help us understand where everything is.
So there needs to be additional resources to help us and we'll get it done. Sure. And that's where it's going to get done. It's not going to get done at the top, it's going to get done this level.
So through that IGEN and through the Pathways grant, they've been producing a lot of materials, and some of those get our production.
Yeah.
And we have talked, Rich and I, about, when we're looking at ways we can bring some of that over because they used to create.
So take some of the 25% money, put it over the pages department, help her expand that. So faculty can go over there and get some of that work done. That one is.
And the reality is OER is not easy, and it's not a one-time event because things are always changing. But let me just give you a quick example. For some courses, this is with the PA grant, particularly on horticulture. So when we tried to do OER, there were not pictures of particular plants or tomatoes or whatever. And we had to find somebody to take those pictures, put them out in the period of time. So OER is new, so as it matures, it'll be easier, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of resources to get it.
Good point. I mean, you have no primary data to go out there and search for that, or no secondary. Yeah, great. That's the problem, face it.
The library as well has been, eager to help with this and help, for reference purposes, look for distinct courses that are out there. So I know a lot of schools rely pretty heavily on their libraries to help at least locate the resources and offer suggestions for that.
So we can kind of move on here. If there aren't any other questions, I think what we're hearing you say is we need to set a goal and make that goal explicit so you can see that. Right? And then also look at how we can what incentives we can put out there to have this move faster. And then third, let's explore if we can work with some of our other colleagues around the state so we can kind of share this. Because if Martha Lally in her group gets an OER site course, it's now OER and anyone else can now use that for free, right? After we've spent time. So it lends itself to that. So we'll work on those three angles and we'll bring it back.
And this is very much a student success.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about student success. This is very much about student success.
That's a great point. Right.
Thank you very much.
Well,